Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Fantastic and Thunder Show. Today, we've got a special guest by a gentleman by the name of Ted Hayes. And Ted is working on the Peace on Earth, Goodwill Towards Humanity rally, which will lead up to a national march in Washington, D.C. on November 17th, 2019. And this year, on November 17th, 2018, downtown Los Angeles, we're going to have a rally. And Ted is an advocate of homelessness and obviously Good Peace on Earth. Ted actually went homeless on his own, on purpose, for 8 years, I believe, Ted, right?
Yes, sir, 8 years.
So, Ted, tell us about your passion and what you plan to achieve with this rally coming up. First, tell us about your homelessness. I want to hear about homelessness.
Well, I became homeless on purpose back in 1985. I think I spent 3-4 weeks there, smelling it, feeling it, taste it, what these people are going through, so that someday, when I speak up on their behalf, I could come from my heart, not my head, and to find out what was the cause of this great phenomenon that's going on in our city and our country, and whether there was a resolution to it. And I have to say, after 8 years on the sidewalks, studying and feeling it, and also being an activist and protesting, demonstrating, being locked up in jail for actions of civil disobedience to bring attention to homelessness and to a resolution to it. I spent another 13 years in one of the answers that we had came up with called the Dome Village in downtown LA. And so the whole idea was, going in it from the beginning, was to think globally but act locally, address the issue of homelessness and poverty and injustice at the bottom of our society in Los Angeles, in the United States, and create a model whereby it can be shared around the world with everybody, so we can release some of this energy and stress. So that's what I do. That's what I eat, sleep, drink, and talk about. I'm pretty boring, frankly, because I have no other thing to talk about.
It's certainly not boring, but keep going.
So subsequently, as part of my journey to greater justice. Hold on, please. As part of my greater journey to justice, recognizing.
What is that noise we're having here in the background?
My problem. My apologies. And when I heard that there was going to be a military parade sponsored or called for by the President of the United States back in July 4th, I began to talk with guys like Monty and Joel Mills and Scotty Brower and a few other people about this, that we need to, excuse me, I'm sorry. Please, thank you. We need to not protest that, but answer that with something more positive about life and so forth. And so he moved it then to November of this year, November 11th, which is not only U.S. Military Veterans Day, but also Armistice Day, which was the signing of the treaty that ended World War I, November 11th, 2018. And so then he moved it now to next year, November 11th, 2019. So we're going to go ahead anyway with ours, not in protest, because we're doing it 6 days after Veterans Day. And we're going to do our event, our rally downtown, a few hundred people we'd be happy with. And we want to get it videotaped. We have a few cameras coming. And we want to take what we put together on the 17th as a platform to launch over the next year, campaigning and promoting this event, so that next November 17, 2019, 16 days past the military parade, we come out with the humanity, peace on earth, goodwill towards humanity. We believe and hope for. Our aim is that every city, every town, every village, every hamlet around the world in a 24-hour span, we will be at truce and peace with each other, even belligerents, no matter what political party or social political beliefs you have, or religions or race. We as humanity come together and send a good vibration to ourselves, to the universe, to the higher powers, that we want to live. And we want to exercise the technologies that are latent within our soul and manifest them on the earth. So that's what we're talking about, basically.
Well, Thunder and I are working with a gentleman by the name of Doug Ivanovich, and he's planning a super concert next year for veterans. It'll be a 12-city, 12-hour simultaneous concert with the top 100 entertainers, the top 100 politicians, and the top 100 corporations. And we plan on raising enough money, or more money than ever has been raised for veterans. Because I truly believe that the public sector is going to be more effective than the government sector. Because I'm really disappointed with all the government has to do and what they're doing for our veterans.
Well, Monty, what you're doing is what coming strictly not from the United States of America. You're doing what the Constitution and the preamble says that we are to do. It says we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. We've made the mistake over these 200 years of thinking that it's the government, officials, it's them. No, it's us, because they work for us. It's up to us to come up with the real ideas that affect society and tell our government officials, this is what we want, this is how you want it, and this is the time frame in which we would like to see it done. Because remember, they govern by the consent of the governed, and we've totally forgotten that.
Well, not only that, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more individuals than there are government officials. we outnumber them.
But what we've got to do, though, at least according to this country, we have to come together as a body politic, be on the same basic trajectory. And I think what you're doing, raising these funds and attention for our veterans who are the first victims of war, particularly our combat veterans, is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And maybe perhaps doing all this organizing over the next year, that perhaps humanity will transcend to a higher level of thinking and will do things for and with each other that prevents the reasons why we have military veterans and wounded warriors.
Yeah, Thunder and I were introduced to Claude the Dragon, which makes a lot of appearances at rallies, what have you. And that would be, Thunder, what do you think about going cross country with Claude, our technologies, our philosophies, the information that we're dispersing amongst our audiences, in opening people's eyes,
Claude should be at every concert. Front row, keeping security back.
Exactly. Breathing the fire of knowledge and wisdom.
And it's for good cause. I mean, we do have a tremendous dollar in military spending, but it seems not to go to the areas where the military is a lot of times forgotten. And that's VA, hospital, and care facility.
Yep, you're right. And as an activist for homeless people, I became homeless and I acclimated, and I have that mindset. I know that world fairly well. In the process, of course, I've always focused on homeless veterans, which the two words should not even be in the same sentence, homeless veterans. And we've worked with them. In fact, they've done a lot of great work, but I'm finding, with 22 veterans a day committing suicide, and these are guys not just on drugs and down on their luck. These guys have jobs and families and came back home that could kill themselves. And you ask the question, why is that? You know what I think is, I've shared it with a few veterans. I'm not a veteran. And I shared it with them and see what they thought. I said, yeah, you're making sense. I said that when you go to the U.S. military, you become disciplined. You get used to that discipline. You acclimate to it. You believe in that, and you find other people like it. If you've been in combat with these people, there is a love and appreciation of one another that you just can't find outside of that zone, and you're together on a mission for a purpose. And I believe when these guys come back home, they've been spoiled. And what they're lacking in their lives is a mission, a thrill, that which makes their life mean something, that they don't even mind giving it up because of that. I talk to veterans who are in wheelchairs, wounded warriors, and I tell them, thank you for your service. And they say, well, thank you, sir, but you know what? I'll do it again if I could. Now, I don't all say that, but there are enough of the men and women who do that, and they miss that camaraderie. And I think that the programs, the ideas that I'm bringing forth with my plan to resolve homelessness, then that aspect is going to be granted to these veterans, whether they are homeless on the streets or got a job but are depressed about to kill themselves. Here, guys, here's a vision, here's a mission. We need you. Yes, sir. What do you have us to do, sir?
Okay, Ted, let's say we have a blank check. What's step one?
Well, if we had a blank check, meaning finances, right? I would prefer more than a blank check. I would prefer the attention of the President of the United States first and foremost, and explain to him what the situation and his staff, what it really actually is on the ground, and then have him implement some policies first before we even touch money. And then once we have our container prepared, then we receive the money and we apply the money properly, and we won't waste that money.
So you have a plan to how to spend the money, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you don't need that much when you think about it. It's, one of the things that people are failing to understand. I was downtown in L.A. on Skid Row a few minutes ago, and this is where I started my whole journey. And my experience, I think, is one of the reasons why you have so many encampments across the city. But the point is, I was looking around down there, it's worse than ever. But you know what I've discovered? And I knew that from the beginning, that at first, when a person becomes homeless, they're embarrassed, they're frightened, they're scared, and they're trying to get out and they can't. And after a while, human nature says, acclimate to your pain. That way you stay sane. And what they've done is they've acclimated to that lifestyle, and they found liberty, they found freedom in what we would call misery. They're like the slave that tasted freedom. And once you've tasted freedom, you cannot be coerced back to slavery. And what these people realize, they don't want to go back to the mainstream of our society. It's a rat race. 43% of the millennials, I'm understanding, have said, we don't want to go back. We'll work 2 years at the most for a firm, but we don't want to go back into that rat race of our society. So I've come up with a plan whereby we are going to have to decentralize our urban centers and create whole new 21st century technology, cities and communities mixed not just with homeless people, but all kinds of people living and working together.
Well, people want to help the homeless, but they don't want them in their neighborhood. I actually happened to interview a gentleman down in Skid Row who was homeless. He's got an apartment down there now. He's actually a two-time murderer, but he gave us a great interview on the prostitution, the drugs, the gangs, the crime. And he says there's a lot of people that choose to live down there for a couple reasons. One is that the government gives them restitution for being poor and homeless. The other one is that the criminals down there are off the grid, so the police can't find them. They have no address, obviously. So there are people that choose to live that homeless life down there because it is kind of like a freedom. You have no rules. You don't have to work 8 to 5. You're
utilities.
Exactly.
All that.
Yep.
So if we're going to, here's another one. I hear people say, well, we gotta rehabilitate the homeless with their drugs and alcohol, retrain them for jobs. And you know what? I've been telling people in a nice way, what are you talking about rehabilitate the homeless from drugs? Homeless people don't drive the drug industry or the alcohol industry. You professionals do that. Homeless people don't drive the pharmaceutical industry or the psychotherapy industry. You guys do that. You need to be rehabilitated in the way you think about life, because the way you think about life now manifests what you see in the street that you disdain and fear. That is you fear. If we fix this society, we fix that. We cannot keep focusing on the homeless, how we're going to help the homeless. No, we need to help ourselves, and the homeless will follow. It's easy. They're the easy shot. We're the hard ones. And some people are starting to understand it's how we think, not so much what we do or how much we spend.
Well, I'll agree with that. This whole show is about how we think, and improving how we think. Being fantastic is a great way to start. With Thunder's technologies, I think we could help the veterans with their PTSD. Don't we have something for that, Thunder?
Well, that's a DigiMed process, but yeah, I mean, getting hair samples and a clinic that doesn't require them to wait in line or have proper medical or anything like that. I could be willing to put up a special no payment for veterans in a way of working with those that have that condition. It'd certainly be an awesome case study to reflect back on after doing so well.
Why don't you explain to Ted and the audience listening how the DigiMed system works? that we
well,
offer.
what Ted, what you would do, and the homeless community would submit in a hair and a fingernail sample, so that in a little plastic bag, and then mailed off to us, so that we could utilize that DNA sequence to send healing frequencies no matter where they are, without the need of prescription or need of medical disperse. Our modality is a frequency that would come directly to that person, no matter where they are. Very Star Trek stuff, but at the same time, an affordable aspect. We do this for children, and they're free. So I guess working with homeless veterans would be a wonderful place to also give a discount to the or all the homeless people, I guess, for that matter, if there is no pay. Right. They have a they heard about the program, then they automatically know about the program. So it's not like it would be a program that would be where everyone's trying to get a free ride.
I'm sorry, please. I'm sorry.
And no, as I was thinking, and I have thought, some friends of mine, they did documentaries on the what they call it, the 1%ers or the 99%ers, Wall Street campouts that they were, yeah. And we would talk about it when he was doing those films, and at the time there were, and still is, there are several retail spots, large shopping malls that are empty. Some of them had, a Kmart or a Target or a Walmart store, a large one, and then several, once it went out, then everybody else in the plaza, also went down. And now we find, maybe $1 store in the whole plaza, which is completely upside down in every aspect. Yeah. Well, wouldn't that make sense to create a community-style bunk bed living to assist the shortage that we have, currently? As the economy rebounded and these jobs came back, well, those beds would disappear because everyone could then finance and be able to get into their own affordable housing. And so utilizing our current real estate that is idle would really be that, that cushion or that baby step that one needs to walking back into the road of success.
And people could bring their tent.
Beautiful word, yes, sir.
I was thinking people could bring their tent, if you have to relocate them,
Yeah, and I think what the issue is on our planet, 55% of the human race dwell in urban centers and refugee camps. That creates an energy of insanity that spreads around the world like nuclear fallout. We're all affected by it because anytime you concentrate that many people in such areas, small areas, when the earth can accommodate everyone comfortably, nature strikes back. Nature has to strike back. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so nature's striking us back. And I think what we need to do, more than trying to keep people back into affordable housing in the urban centers where the insanity is generating, we need to create that housing outside of the urban centers. One of the things that we've done as Justiceville back in 1988, foreseeing the future, we went to Congress. And Congress called advocates and activists from across the country to come and tell them what needs to be done. And 99.99% of the advocates went there looking for federal dollars to help the homeless. And the homeless guys and I, as veterans, we hitchhiked over to D.C. We went to both sides of the aisle, and we said to them, we want no federal tax money from the people. The people are paying enough taxes as it is. We want any and all surplus federal property, including former military bases for homeless uses. Well, they couldn't believe what we asked for, and they passed it. And right now that law exists to this very day. It's not being activated by people because they don't understand what it is or why it is. And it's Article 5, Section 8 of the Stewart B. McKinney-Vento Act for the Homeless. It's there. So what we want to do, if I have my way back to the blank check, and let me say the blank check includes the president and all the federal resources and the money. Because, see, we're sent to the president. Actually, when we give him the plan, we don't want any federal dollars. We want the president of the United States to go to Wall Street, to the brokers, and say to them, we the people have for you a business proposition that we would like for you to invest in, and here's how it will work. So we got that piece. And what we would do then is by the president's executive order, those resources in the federal government will be activated. The finances in the private sector are infused for the interest, and then we build housing, 21st century housing, experimental housing. It's an architect's dream world, and we break off, as it were, a piece of Los Angeles, all the various professions, and we plant them at that facility that already has the infrastructure there that people had gone in, such as veterans and others, have rebuilt that community and refurbished it and so forth. And we do that first in LA, then across the nation, because there are hundreds of these bases and other federal property. And we're also talking to ranchers. Ranchers would like for people to come and use their property as well. So that's our big plan. Instead of pushing people back into the overcrowded room where insanity is being generated, that they're resisting anyway, we just simply open the door and let some people go. And that's the pattern humanity has always used. Maybe not, in a just manner, because oftentimes when a society feels like they need to grow, they'll send their explorers out to spy out the land. Then they send their pioneers, and right behind the pioneers, they send the military. And they take the land, and they build new communities, and out of there comes new culture, new food styles, new ideas. Humanity's mind expands. And that's how we're doing this now. The human race is ready for a massive and rapid expansion throughout all the earth. Be fruitful and multiply, replenish not the urban center, the earth. Why? Because you'll stay sane and your mind won't be locked into four walls. Your mind will be able to create and feel the energy of the universe. And there are wonders yet to behold that resides in every human being. We just got it locked up because we're fighting nature. Nature would not allow us to have any more than what we can handle.
I agree.
Guys, I hear a lot about the extraterrestrial intelligences and all those kinds of things. I was listening to your podcast earlier today, Monty. You guys were talking about the sightings in Arizona and all those kind of things. Well, whether anybody's out there or not aware of it is, I don't know. I'm no expert in that area. But I'll tell you one thing, if there is somebody out there, they're scared the hell of us. They're scared of us. And that's why I think they don't want to reveal themselves. And I think there may be a galactic accord going on where one group of people are saying, look, we need to get rid of those things down there on that earth. That thing is dangerous. If it gets out into the universe, it's going to spread like a contagion. Other groups say, wait. Hold on. Let's see. Maybe they'll come to their senses and we won't have to exterminate them. And so I think that we're at that precipice, at that point in human existence, that the whole universe wants to know, what will we decide to do as humanity? Will we go on and become that which we were born and created to be, or will we end up drawing an energy like an asteroid or a meteorite or a supervolcano or something, or the Galactical Council to decide, eliminate the vermin?
Well, they did start appearing more after the nuclear age was upon us. And we do now have enough nuclear power to decimate the Earth 30 times over. So we are hopefully never going to push those buttons, and hope we come to our senses and do denuclearize. But we are definitely not the smartest creatures on the planet. I think dolphins have it much or smarter than us,
A dolphin can't fly a jet plane either. A dolphin can't, dolphins and creatures, they got their place, but for some reason, I believe the reason why animals eat each other, like lions eat lambs and little baby sheep and goats and things, is because we human beings are eating one another. We are warring with one another. And because of our imbalance, the whole system is imbalanced. And I think the animals, like Humphrey the Whale, when he came here several years ago and swam up the San Francisco River, I believe then understand that Humphrey the Whale was chosen by the intelligence of the earth to go and represent and let humanity know, you guys got to stop polluting the ocean. You guys need to start getting along with each other, because what you are doing is affecting the rest of humanity. Come on, guys, get your act together.
Well,
I think
we screwed up. We screwed up the Pacific Ocean. Thunder's actually helping with the problem of Fukushima.
Yeah, man, and Fukushima is an indictment on us. And we need to look at, why did we have to do Fukushima? It's like, okay, let's go back to peace on earth, goodwill towards humanity, the theme of our rally on November 17th. What we're saying there was 100 years ago, we had the First World War. And the first several months of that war, some women in Europe and England decided to write a letter of peace to the enemy women of Australia, because both their sons were out there killing each other. And they said, ladies, we need to bring peace. And so the women began this whole peace movement to end the war. And so then the Pope got wind of it. And so Pope Francis XV wrote a letter to all the world powers. Okay, guys, we understand you got an issue with each other, but look, how about this? Why don't we plan for Christmas this year, November 14th? Why don't we have a truce, and maybe we can cool down and prevent a disaster? And so when the military guys in Germany, and they go out in no man's land, and then the Brits and the Belgians and the French, they came out of theirs, and they approached each other, and they shook hands, they began to change cigarettes, and they talked about their families. They even played competitive soccer with each other and got along. But then this thing was growing up and down the lines, right? And when the generals heard about it, and the weapons makers heard about it, the generals sent guys in, captured the bright ones that seemed to be leading it, killed those guys, executed them, and stopped the peace movement, and we went on to kill 23 million human beings. And what we've got to do, we're saying, is, ladies and gentlemen, let's remove the reason for why men and women have to put on uniforms and take weapons and kill each other. They're the first victims of our failure to maintain order and peace. Why do we always have to worry about our veterans who are wounded? Let us nip this in the bud. It begins with us. We must learn to appreciate and love one another, and then we will be freed from all those kinds of things. That's the motive here.
Well, we're going to hope by...
And the weapons makers to put an end to it. And we put an end to war. Just think about that. And now we have what they did not have. Therefore, I believe it is our generation. We owe those young men, we owe it to them to finish what they started in the midst of warfare 100 years later. Isn't that wonderful? Very.
Well,
it's almost similar to a Thanksgiving that we can put aside the war.
So
yes.
What we need is a little draw for this event in 2 weeks. If we can raise the $500, I think we can get Claude the Dragon down here. He just needs enough fuel and a place to stay to bring Claude down. We need maybe a band, some kind of person with a little bit of a following to play some music, because music is obviously the way to create peace and draw a crowd. And then a couple speeches from some good people, and I think that's enough to get the point across. This interview here we could spread. I'm going to entitle it "Goodwill and Peace Toward Humanity," and we could share this. And Ted is real good on the internet. He's been doing a lot of email campaign, and we've got 2 weeks to put together a little bit of a statement. And he's got the area downtown LA secured, I believe, right, Ted?
Yes, sir. I'm going to try to get them to open up the bathroom, because, I don't have bucks to get porta potties. And so I'm going to talk with them today and see if they'll let us use the bathroom, especially for the ladies, because I really don't like the idea of having gatherings that people don't have a place to decently relieve themselves. So that's a challenge that we are facing. We are facing the challenge of we need a face to be in the forefront of this. I cannot be on the forefront. We need a couple good spokespersons for this.
And even if we gave out free hot dogs, get a hot dog sponsor or something, just got a little draw, you'd be surprised.
I I don't know how to do any of that. I need someone, I'm speaking practically now, logistically, I need someone to work closer with me on coordinating the effort, because I'm really and I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all. It's a real honor to do this. But to be more effective, I need some more people to help coordinate. I was talking with not Punjab, but Jamuna. You'll meet Jamuna. I'm going to email all you guys about him, and maybe perhaps we'll meet. But Jamuna, he's willing to help out and do what he can as well. And other people like Punya does with his flags and his following, and we'll also try to get the drummers, that drum out on the beach there to drum intermittently throughout the day and all that kind of stuff. So we've got to pull all the logistics together. I got a halfway decent sound system, but I'm hoping somebody will come forward with a much better sound system than what I have. But what I have, people will hear it, but it won't be like, a sound system, So there's these pieces that we got to put together.
Well, we'll try to help.
Hello? I'm sorry.
I said we will try to help.
That's all we can do, right? I think if we walk towards the light, we'll shine brightly. That's all we have to do is keep walking that direction.
Okay.
And
well,
people
Ted,
see us and follow. Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for sharing your vision.
Thank you.
And Thunder and I will put our heads together. We're pretty smart. Thunder is way beyond smart, and
Great.
And we'll see what we can come up with. And in the meantime, I'll send this link to you, and I want you to share it with the people. And let's put the word out for some volunteers that want to see peace on earth and goodwill towards man.
Amen. That's right. Hey, Thunder. Yeah. I'm hoping you're smart enough to track down lightning.
He's got lightning in a bottle.
There you go.
Or I should say lightning in a hologram.
Hey, that's another one. Okay, man.
Thank you, Ted. And everyone listening, please be fantastic and be positive and definitely work towards peace on earth and goodwill towards humanity. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.